It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Tradition Treestands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFault. What's going on, my man?
Drying out.
We are drying out. It's a little warm, too.
A little?
Just a little, 60-some degrees out.
I tell you what, it was. I was on the west side of the state this weekend, and the drive over on Friday was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a sunny day, just like you had up north.
Yep.
And then it started to rain and thunderstorm, and the fog rolled in.
I woke up Saturday morning to snow on the ground.
You did have some snow.
Yeah, light dusting. Yeah, I kind of had to shake my head. I'm like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing out there? Yeah, I am seeing what I think I'm seeing. So it was snow on the ground up there, and now we've got 62, 63 degrees.
Somebody posted a picture, and I want to say it was from Petoskey down the road, and it was pretty white.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
right on.
But no, I was attending a wedding, so I didn't get outdoors. But you, on the other hand, spent all week up at deer camp.
I did spend all week up at deer camp. I went up Sunday I left here Sunday morning, and I came back this Saturday afternoon.
You are so into it, you're still wearing your safety harness.
Yeah, you like that? I got my safety harness on. You know, we talked about that on the show here the last couple weeks, or last week actually, and I thought since we got so much feedback on it, what better way to start the show to talk a little safety and kind of what I was going through up there.
Right, exactly. So you know, we talked about you having an issue when you were in the stand last time, kind of being tight to the tree.
Right, you know, and people on the podcast, sorry, you're going to have to watch a live stream of what we're doing here, but basically, if you're the tree.
Yes, I am the tree.
You're the tree. Okay, so around the tree we got our strap, our quick strap, okay?
Yep.
And then I take and I hook into that, okay?
Yep.
So now we're hooked in, as you can see here on the live stream. I'm tied to the tree. So if I'm shooting straight out, I can draw my bow, no problem. I can shoot left.
No problem.
No problem, but when I go right, if this is at shoulder height, like where it's supposed to be, like right in there, when I come back, I can't draw there. If I go underneath, when I draw back and hit my anchor point, I'm into that strap, you know, and I'm constantly hitting it here.
And why we're describing it like this is because the tree stand, ladder stand that Mike uses, you're not really you're not uptight against the tree.
No, there's a seat.
Your seat and then your platform where you stand actually takes you out probably about 18 inches out away from the tree. And if you look at it on our live stream, you can kind of understand where he's going with this, that it gets tight when you start moving around and needing to move.
This part of the tether, it's too short.
Right. So
for my setup.
What other ways is there to alleviate this issue? So
we had a lot of people talking about lifelines, and actually I've got two of them that I've had for quite a while. And basically it's a simple rope, you know, and on the rope it's got what's called a prusik knot. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Prusik?
Prusik, P-R-U-S-S-I-C. Okay.
All right.
So that can slide up and down the line. And once you're locked in, if you happen to fall, when your weight catches on this, it grabs hold and locks.
It binds up.
It binds, so you can't slide down. So that keeps you from going splat.
Yes, it does.
So once you go around the tree, we're going to pretend, once again, I'm going to make you the tree. So act like a tree and leave. No.
I already did. Or at least most of the trees have.
Right. So let me get this here around here, kind of make it look halfway decent. Okay, so you're the tree. All right, so there he is. He's the tree. Now, with a 25-foot piece of rope, I can take and I can adjust this prusik knot at the tree, or I can keep it away from the tree and give myself a little slack. So here's the line. Once again, we click in, run up the barrel on this. So it's important to get one like this so it can't come open.
Yes.
Okay. So once we do that and I get that predetermined length, that gives me the room to let this hang behind me.
Right. It gives you the added what you needed.
So I can draw and make that right-hand turn.
Absolutely.
with my bow. Okay, so that way I'm able to make it and turn and shoot to my right, and it's not binding on me. And what I would do is I would take this portion here with the knot and the carabiner, and I would simply slide it in a kind of in an open pocket or a slot, so it didn't bang.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good idea because you got that metal tree stand, yeah. And if that falls out,
clank, clank, clank.
Yeah, it's going to be loud and clear.
So, and if I were to fall, it would simply just pull out, and it would, and it would bind up, and I'd lock, and I'd be swinging from a tree.
Now, so did you have this about
shoulder height?
Is that what it was? Shoulder height? You put that,
and
then you just adjusted that accordingly.
Yep. And then the rest of my line, I would simply take and leave laying in my seat.
Okay.
I'd set on it. I could drop it off the side and let it swing as well if I wanted to, but I just kind of let it. And that's a question. I was sitting, and I've done a lot of thinking about this. So if I'm sitting on it, is it proper to sit on that, or should it be hanging down all the way? I'm thinking it's not gonna. If you fall out, it doesn't matter where it's at because you're going to be stopping here.
The only thing I can think of is if you're sitting on it, you fall out. I don't think it's going to matter because the most important is getting you to stop.
Stop, right.
Whether it's a foot off the ladder stand or 3 feet or 4 feet. I'm pretty sure that the bottom of this rope is going to go with you.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is if I got tangled around my legs or something. So I'm still thinking that through and trying to play those scenarios out in my head. The one thing I didn't have with me, and I forgot it, and actually a buddy of mine brought it up to me, is the tension relief foot strap that goes with these systems. And they click into the side here on a loop. And what that does, if you were to fall out, you can put your boot into that loop and push up, and it takes the tension.
Off the legs.
Yeah, off your legs.
Off the pinch point off the legs.
Yeah, so as I stand up here and I'm off of the mic here, but once these things lock in here, and if you're hanging, it's called compartment syndrome.
Yeah,
I learned that from a fireman buddy of mine that was up north this weekend.
Okay.
He said, yeah, you want to have that on there because that way you can take the pressure off your legs and allow the blood flow to return.
Right, until you get help or until you get yourself situated.
Uprighted and back to your stand or what have you.
So that's what goes in these things.
Yeah, that or it could be the climbing lineman's belt.
The lineman's belt.
For when you're hanging a stand, and you can kind of kick back and use it like the guys do on the utility crews. So
sweet.
So yeah, so we worked through some things in the stand.
And you did this in the stand, and you did this in the cabin.
Yeah. Actually, we had another guy at camp who came up Thursday, and we've talked a couple of weeks about this on the show, and he was asking questions about it. So before he went out in the field, he had a brand new safety harness, much like I did. And he was questioning certain things. I was like, well, let's just break them out right here in the cabin, and let's run through them. And that's what we did.
And that's a great thing to do is when you're all up at cabin, just like that.
So they're ready to go?
So when you pull it off the hook, and again, before we go out the night before or something, we get it ready, untangle it, because we don't want it tangled in the morning.
Right. You don't want those straps turned, twisted, and folded over, because that can put a pinch into you too.
Right, exactly. So,
do you wear yours completely on your outer shell, and do you wear it? Do you put it on before you head to the stand, or do you put it on when you get to the stand?
I put it underneath my outer shell.
Okay. Right. Okay. So do I.
And it's before I go out.
Okay.
I won't try to figure that out in the dark. Guaranteed that won't work. Because the hardest part is getting the leg straps.
Right.
You're fumbling around for them. But no, we get that totally done before. And then and my cousin does the same thing. He'll suit up. He puts on. His suit might have the little slit in the back.
Okay.
To pull it up through, and then we pull it forward and tuck it, and then away you go. But under the shell.
Okay.
Is how we do ours.
Okay.
We don't do ours over the shell because, first of all, it just makes it more bulkier, and where if you put it underneath, it's kind of more conforming to your body, anyways.
Gotcha. Hey, AJ's watching. I just seen him chime in here. That's my fireman buddy that was talking about the compartment syndrome when it choking your legs off. So. He's used to working with gear like it. I'll tell you one thing that did happen to me, though, is with this, and I learned a very quick lesson.
Okay.
So this would have been third day at camp. Okay, so I'm coming out as a morning hunt, or maybe it's evening. I can't remember, morning or evening hunt. Doesn't matter. I'm coming out of the tree stand, okay? And this particular tree stand, I left one. I got 2 lifelines. I left one in a tree.
Okay.
And the other one I took with me, depending on which tree I went to.
Oh, in case you went to another tree.
Yeah, so I actually couldn't ascend or descend with the lifeline. So, I'd take it loose and put it all in my backpack, and then I'd descend after I got all my gear down to the ground on my utility line. So I've got this hanging over my shoulder on the back, okay, like so, and I'm coming down. In this particular stand, there's a couple white pines around it. They're a little tight to the stand.
Okay.
And I feel a little tug as I'm coming down, descending, and I feel it pulling up. And I look up, and just as soon as I look up, this thing flips off the limb, and the carabiner caught me right there at the base of the nose.
Right in the nose.
Right in the schnoz.
Right in the schnoz. Way to go.
So
you realize you probably can't reproduce that moment again.
Oh no.
The odds for that of hitting you again in the nose.
I mean, right here on what they call it, the septum.
Made your eyes water, didn't it?
Oh, dude, I thought I seen stars. It's like whap. I was like, man, alive. Oh, you want to talk about her? It's still a little tender.
Yeah, you can hear right there. Yeah, they'll be tender for a few days, but you could probably not plan that again.
No. So after that, when I'm coming down in those situations, I have that strap over my front and hanging.
There you go. So he doesn't get hung up.
Right.
And that's one of the things. Like some of our trees that we go in, we come up another tree and we walk the branches up.
Right.
And then the one tree stand we kind of just step out onto from the other tree, and then while we kind of hook in then because you're coming up through another tree to get to one tree.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, those are the things definitely you want to take and get taken care of before you head out to the stand. Or in your case,
when you're coming down,
watch out when you're coming down the stand, right?
Yeah, it taught me a lesson real quick. So I'm learning. I've made the commitment now this year to wear the safety harness full time.
And everybody should. That's just one of the things. Anytime you're up above a raised platform, definitely get the safety harness. It's $100, well worth it.
I feel so much more confident moving around in my stand. Not that I really worried about it, but my grab points.
Oh yeah.
I was very methodical and really thought through what I was doing when I'm moving around. And I won't say I'm lackadaisical now, but I mean, I have more confidence that I'm safe.
Right.
I don't have to worry about it. If I'm hunting by myself, I don't have to worry about falling and laying there for a week until somebody comes and finds me when I don't show up at home.
And it doesn't matter whether you're 5 feet off the ground, 15, 25.
Right.
It's you got to be. You take the chance. Be safe. Don't get lackadaisical. Always get tied in somehow. Get the right equipment.
Yep.
I know back in the day, and I'm way back when they just had basically a belt, a 2-loop belt.
So it cut you in half when you fell.
Basically,
Yeah.
Those were the things back there, but obviously through time, companies have performed and come through, and now taken watching what the old time linemen used to do and add what they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that system. It's lightweight, it feels comfortable, and I keep it really snug.
Yep,
and I can actually.
It's comfortable too, like you said, because especially the leg ones.
Yeah,
you
doesn't bind.
It doesn't bind, and
I can actually ride my bike out with that on.
Oh, okay.
I'd ride back and forth with it, no problem.
No problem at all. So that
yeah.
See, and that's another reason we keep it underneath there, because you could probably take off your shell when you're bike riding.
Well, and I do a lot of times. I won't even suit up actually until I get out in the field, depending on if it's an evening hunt or a morning.
Right.
When I go out in the afternoon, I've got usually. Sometimes I go out my base layers, depending on how warm it is. But at least my outer shell is on bound to my backpack.
Right, and this week it wasn't too chilly up there.
No, we only had a couple frosty mornings.
Right, not your typical November so far.
No, not at all. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's step outside. Let's take our first break. We'll come back. Right. We'll kind of plow through the week. So we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Second segment of the show. Well, so we've got up and into our tree safely and down. We'll only get knocked out once.
Did you have to do any maintenance to your trees this year?
What do you mean by maintenance?
You know, well, you got up in your tree, you set up your tree stands. Did you have to, you know, I know you got the Traditions tree stands, which are pretty solid. But did you have to do any tree cutting?
Yeah, because I moved every stand I had.
There you go.
Yeah, every stand that I had got moved this year. I'm not. Let me think about this. No, there's not one tree stand that I've got that's in the same spot it was last year. Yeah. You know, I don't know if you call that evolving or if you call it hit and miss, you know, trying to plan from one year to the next. You know, I'm still trying to really learn my area
you just got it a year ago.
Yeah, I swapped areas.
Right.
You know, so I do know the area, but I've not really hunted it hard.
Right, exactly. So it's going to take you just don't know it instantly.
Right. So, yeah, I'm still working through.
And plus, you've had logging projects.
Right.
So things are changing, evolving. So I guess it's the evolving of the hunt.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes it's frustrating. You know, this week was a frustrating hunt. It really was.
Well, let's start from the beginning. Did you pull camera cards?
I pulled camera cards partway through the hunt.
Okay.
I had pulled them the week previous when I was up there.
Okay.
And looked at everything and didn't have anything worth shouting at.
Okay. And we talked about that, I think, that kind of worrisome going into the week hunt.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if we talked about it or not, but there was one camera in particular I thought somebody had stolen.
Yes, the one you couldn't find.
And then I realized after I left where it was at, that's the one card I did not pull. And had I pulled it, my strategy would have been different.
Really?
Yes. It would have been different.
Yep. That goes to show you. Make sure you get them all.
Yep. So, it wasn't a gargantuan buck by any stretch, but it was a 3.5-year-old buck.
But it gathered your interest, though.
Yeah. I would have strategized a little differently. So, but it's nice to finally see something on camera and go, okay, yeah, there is something here.
Besides the little ones?
Yeah, worth hunting. So,
right, and that's one of the things up on your club that you do. You have a points rule, and you can take as many does as you want. So, if you don't see a buck of your choice, you can always shoot a doe. Right.
So, yeah, we're doing a little QDMA as well. We're looking at our buck to doe ratio, figuring out how many does do we want to take this year? When do we want to take them? And, things of that nature. So we're still working through that, and I'm putting a plan together this week.
Did any of your fields get able to grow?
If the deer would have stayed off of them, yes.
No. That's what I'm saying. I know a couple weeks ago you went and looked at your fields, and they were pretty much mowed.
Yeah, they're barren.
They're
green. They're green, but
they're green. Yeah, they're green, but shoots. Nothing's growing.
No, it's mowed down. And actually, the deer I watched this week, it's like they were vacuum cleaners. When they worked a field, they had their head down and they mowed in a straight line until they ran out.
And then turned around and came back?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they weren't. It was kind of odd. Usually, you'll see them, they'll zigzag a little bit and they'll look up and look around, but it's like they were on a mission to grab as much forage as they could. Because they've just flat out mowed it down.
That's that time of year for them, right?
Yeah.
Well, if anybody needs a grass cut, you could take a couple deer over there and
turn them loose. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, okay, so your fields hasn't had the opportunity because the deer are heavily grazing them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you pulled the camera cards. You should have pulled one, which I thought you lost. So that kind of should have changed but you didn't.
Right. Yeah, and I actually didn't start pulling cards until towards the end of my hunt.
Okay.
I'd only had them out, I had them out a week because I checked them the week previous.
Okay.
And I'm like, whatever. I was up here 5 days ago. There's no reason to go through here and systematically pull every single card. I just don't like going and leaving a ton of scent in an area.
Right.
Repeatedly, going to each card repeatedly. And that was pretty much the reason why.
Especially when you're getting, here we're starting to get into the rut. We're getting pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people got chasing them, actually rut activity. Mm-hmm. So we're getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing was I didn't want to go into certain areas if the wind conditions weren't right. If I'm not going to hunt that area, I don't need to be in that area pulling cards.
Right.
So it's that was kind of my mindset going in.
Okay.
And that's what I did. We strategically hunted certain stands at certain days at certain times just because of the wind conditions.
It's always good to check your wind. Your dad made it up.
Dad made it up to camp. He got up Monday. Yeah, Monday.
Okay.
And David Boggs came up Monday as well. So I had a good friend of ours in camp, and also had my dad in camp, which was really nice seeing him.
How's Mr. Boggs?
Mr. Boggs was eager to get in the woods and kill something. Yeah,
did he?
He smoked a coyote.
Nice.
Yes, he did. He smoked a coyote. So that was second to last day. Or no, yeah.
He just didn't smoke a coyote. He smoked it while running.
Yeah, it was on the move, 67 yards, and he let it fly and drilled it. Yeah, so guy's lights out, man.
He's a good shooter. Definitely a good shooter. Mr. Alpha Male, I think it was an alpha, didn't have a chance.
No, and that we got to get him on and talk about that hunt because his hunt got blown up that day by 6 coyotes. He had a big old nanny doe he was putting a stalk on and was within just a couple steps of really getting serious about drawing and shooting, and all of a sudden these coyotes come out. And the one he shot, I think is the one he shot, it came out onto the field and sat down in the middle of the field and just sat there and stared at the deer at about 300 yards away, he said. And the deer got all freaked out. They're nervous because they're watching him. He's just sitting there. And in the meantime, it was 2 coyotes and then 4 pups.
Okay.
So the pups were in the edge of the woods and they were running back and forth. But the other one, which we figured was a female, circled around behind the deer, was going to hunt from the backside. So the one's up here in the front keeping the attention, while the other one does the sneak and puts the sneak on from the backside.
Really? And
there was a young buck that picked up on the pups and started running up and down the wood line, charging, snorting, and stomping his feet, trying to scare him off.
Yeah.
So, then all of a sudden everything kind of broke loose. The deer started running everywhere. The coyote come flying down, and he smoked it at 67 yards, he said. And
nice.
When he hit it, it yelped, and when it did, all the coyotes started howling. And
really?
And I was hunting a stand not far. I'm trying to remember that night. Where was that? Okay, yeah, I was back on my main stand, and I heard them when they fired up, and I'm like, that's about 45 minutes too early. I was like, that's strange because it was about 6 o'clock, and they normally don't start until around between 6:30 and 6:45 when they come out at night. But I was just like, wow, that's kind of weird. But he's like, yeah, that's when I shot.
So one made a noise. They all responded.
Yeah, kind of freaky.
Yeah, it is. And then they just split after that. Eh?
And the night before, he saw a bobcat up close and personal. So
a bobcat.
Yeah. So he got to see a lot of game. He got saw. But
didn't take home no deer.
No, nobody took home any deer, unfortunately. So it was pretty tough hunting.
Nice. Shout out to Brent Jackson.
Hey Brent. Hi. Hey Brent, what's going on?
Well, Dad got out to do some hunting?
He went out and sat. Yeah.
All right.
He went out with us. It was nice to have him in camp. He wasn't there really to hunt. He was there just kind of enjoy himself, kick back and relax. And he helped me move his stand. When we talked about the family tradition stands, and I had one stand I had out in the field left that was just basically leaned up against a tree. I didn't have it ratcheted or anything, and I had the straps there ready to go up. I just had my mid, halfway up, you tie it to a tree to keep it from rolling.
Yep.
I had that strap on it just to hold it, and I've been waiting on a spot until I found a spot. And there was a spot I wanted to move a stand to. And I told my dad, I said, let's go move that stand middle of the day. And he said, you don't put a stand up middle of the day? I said, trust me. I said, we can move that stand. It was maybe 150, 200 yards.
Okay.
I said, I can move that stand by myself and have it up in just a few minutes. And I said, it won't make any noise. He's like, yeah, right, whatever. So we got back. I undid those 2 straps. I said, grab the straps. I said, just stand on the bottom rung. Let me walk it down and get it on my shoulders. Got it on my shoulders, balanced it, and boom, all of a sudden I just took off walking. He's like, I just can't believe that. I said, these things are balanced,
Exactly. You get the right rung.
Yeah.
And they balance right on your shoulders, and you can...
I was just going through, walked down the 2 track, walked over to the tree where I needed to get to, and turned it around, put the leg down on the ground, said, stand down again, and then just rocked it right up, put it on the tree, walked up, strapped it to the tree. We were done. He's like, I've never seen anything like that.
See? It's a good tree stand when you can do that.
Right, yeah.
You know, you're not fidgeting, fumbling, crashing through.
Not making noise.
You're
sturdy.
Did you hunt that stand then?
My dad sat up there. Didn't see nothing.
Didn't see nothing?
No. But none of us saw nothing that night, I don't think. But, yeah, it was a good time. You know, it was good having my dad in camp. Had a lot of good food. Put on a few pounds for sure.
Well, yeah, David Boggs cooking away.
David cooked and my dad cooked, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them did, so it was good. And then Thursday, well, David took off Thursday evening, but Thursday morning, AJ, the fireman guy I was talking about, he come up, and another one of our members, Dave, came up. And they made it there Thursday. So it's like Dave left that evening, but then 2 more guys coming to camp.
Dave was heading to a youth hunt, I think, this weekend.
With his daughter, down in Indiana. Yep. Yeah, she got drawn for a special youth hunt, so she's in the field. I saw pictures.
I don't think they got anything.
Yesterday or this morning, one or the other. They didn't have anything at that time, so.
Right.
But no, it's good time having people in camp, you know, and getting to see my dad and hang out with him.
Absolutely.
And he was supposed to be on the show tonight, but he took off back home. I was going to have him on.
Go figure.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. He said, maybe, you know. And then as the time got closer here to today, this morning, he's like, we got bad storms coming in. He said, I want to get ahead of the rain, so he took off.
Yeah, he's probably running against that warm front that's coming in through us.
Yep. So he hit a little bit of it, but he got out ahead of it finally.
Okay.
So he ought to be rolling home here pretty quick. The next 3 or 4 hours, he ought to be back on his doorstep. So
now David's from Indiana.
Yep.
He had a few hour drive.
I think he had about 8 hours.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, from camp to his door, roughly.
Okay.
So
deer activity, from what you did see.
Let's go to break, and we'll come back. We'll talk about it.
All right.
Okay, we're going to step outside, take our next break. When we come back, we'll talk about what we did see. We'll be right back after this.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, third segment of the show. You know, we talked a lot about some of the frustrations and things of getting into season, the pre-planning we've done, the planting we did, and it just seems like we were up against roadblocks or obstacles this whole summer and fall leading into season. It just seemed like nothing ever aligned quite right.
Right.
You know, so when I went going into this week, from what I'd seen last week, I didn't have any preconceived notions of seeing a gigantic buck or seeing any buck or seeing any particular doe.
Because you really haven't seen anything on camera.
No.
You really haven't seen any scrapes or nothing to that effect that says, hey.
No, they're here.
You know, everything right now is kind of putting you in a mindset of...
what's going on?
Yeah. Where is everybody?
Yeah. You know, why are we not seeing them?
And right, and you know... through the year, you know you've got the deer there.
Right. Yeah, there's proof of it because there's nothing on the food plot left.
Right, exactly.
All the tracks
it's not,
you know.
It's not like you got a big standing field of green that hasn't been touched. There's no tracks. There's no. Then
I'd be worried.
Then you'd be worried.
Right.
But here you've got basically a mowed field, deer tracks. Talking with the camp manager, he's seeing deer, and it's like, okay, so what's going on?
Yeah, and that was kind of going in. I just didn't really have. I wouldn't say I didn't have high expectations. I didn't have any expectations, I didn't want to go in without any preconceived notion of something either happening or not happening. But I did go in with a positive mindset that, hey, I'm going to put the time in, stand, I'm going to get out, I'm going to hunt, and it is what it is.
Correct.
So, that's kind of the way we rolled. I hunted 3 different sets. 3? Yeah, 3 different sets, 3 of the 5 stands. There's one stand I never even hunted, and that might have been the stand I should have hunted had I seen the card.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
all right.
Yep.
With that being said, overall for the week, the weather, good, bad? Could have been better, could have been worse, could have been colder, could have been hotter.
It was okay. We had a lot of rain. I missed 3 or 4 morning hunts due to rain. One of them because of no sleep. Second night there, I take that. Yeah, it would have been Monday night. Monday night, I could not sleep to save my life.
Okay.
I tossed and turned the whole night, and I'm serious. I set the clock for 5:30 a.m. and I just laid and stared at the ceiling, tossing and turning back and forth.
Were you nervous?
No, I just couldn't sleep. Could not sleep to save my life.
The adrenaline was pumping for getting on the woods.
No.
You were so happy your dad was there.
Not that I couldn't sleep. No, it was the weirdest thing. It was like I couldn't save my life. I couldn't go to sleep.
So when you probably did get tired, it was probably about 5:30.
Clock went off. I got up, talked to one of the other guys. I was like, "You heading out?" "Yep, I'm going out." Well, I said, "I'm going back to bed. I haven't slept all night. I hadn't slept since obviously the night before."
Right.
And I managed to get about 2-3 hours sleep. I got up probably 9:30 finally, and I hunted that evening. But yeah, it was tough. Hey, Andy, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining in tonight. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
Really?
So I missed that morning hunt, but the other 3 or 4 was due to weather. It rained it seemed like every morning we were waking up to rain. Thursday morning it rained all day, and blew. The wind was blowing. It was horrible. Friday was the only day we had a good day the whole day, where it was nice the whole day.
Okay, so one pristine day out of the week.
Right.
It's Michigan in October, November for you.
Right, yeah, it made it tough. So, the weather, I think, played a lot to do with it.
And plus you mentioned full moon.
Full moon, yeah, that was the other thing. We would go out, and for our afternoon hunts, we'd leave 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we're seeing deer in the field already. In a lot of fields, as we're moving to our stands, we're seeing deer, a good number of deer. And then in the evening, the numbers would dwindle down to nothing when you would expect them to be in the field. So, and it really didn't dawn on me until the 3rd night that we were there. It's like, wait a minute, it's full moon. I guess they call it the beaver moon this time of year. And it was very pronounced that 3rd night. And what tipped me off to it is when I looked up and I saw, it's like, moon was rising. I'm like, man, that's a pretty moon. I said, well, duh, no wonder.
It's a full moon.
It's a full moon, and that's the reason we weren't seeing deer. They were moving in the middle of the day and not so much at night.
Well, they could move all night long.
Yeah, and feed.
Plain as day.
Yeah.
And then when you're heading out for your morning hunt, go sleep.
Yep.
And then afternoon, they'll walk around, then go nap, and then move again all night.
Yeah, yep. Well, and Friday morning, I didn't see a deer, not a hair, the whole morning.
And see, that's the one thing, is especially now that they're off and running looking, they're taking that advantage of being able to go at night,
right?
Being able to see, and that's a huge thing.
Well, it happened last year during the opener for rifle season.
Remember? The supermoon.
Yeah, that was supermoon.
That was a bizarre instance that I totally agree, because we got up, middle of the night, and you could literally see across the yard. And if somebody was standing there, you could probably pick them out, tell them who it was, what they're, it was bright.
Well, we were going out one morning. No, I take that back. We're coming back in. Was it coming in or going out? It would have had to been coming out, because that's when the moon was rising, was at night, and it rose throughout the whole night. If it had rose during the day, it'd have been a lot better. But you could see shadows.
Yeah.
You could see shadow from the moon shining down on the ground. You could see your shadow. It was so bright.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. If you can see that, a deer can see a lot better.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's one of the things that it amazes me when you do that. You go out on a clear night in the morning or in the evening when you're coming back in. Usually it's in the morning when you get in that effect of the sunrise coming. And you can see plain as day like that. They're standing right there watching you walk right by.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that was the biggest problem that we had was the rain and then the moon. I think those were the 2 things that were working against us. And it took me a couple, like I said, I think it was after 3 days I finally figured out, it's like, well, okay, the moon's what's screwing this up. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to moon phase. I mean, I have in the past, but you hear people say, hey, yeah, you hear different opinions on it. There's been no really scientific research to really back it and hard evidence. So, but I do know when it's full moon at night and it's bright out, the deer are out.
Yeah, exactly.
They're out feeding and playing and doing whatever. So that was something we had to work around and overcome.
Andy says that he's heard that deer move less at night on a bright moon night because they're more vulnerable to predators. And they actually, that works double standards.
Yeah.
They're more vulnerable, but yet they can do more too. So
yeah.
Depending on your predator level.
Right.
It could work both ways. Definitely.
Right.
Obviously. If they can see, the predators can see, right?
Yeah.
And now that we had the full moon opener, which is in 10 days.
We should be okay by the opener rifle season.
Should be dark moon.
Yeah, we should be back to, it's waning now. So yeah, we should be back to, what they call a new moon, I think, by the opener. So hopefully, but, yeah, as far as activity goes, I seen 2 deer that were close enough to shoot the whole week.
Okay. So about the deer, last comment from Andy, they're out there every night. You can see them when it's bright. Yep. You're right. They're out there. Going into how does your deer herd look?
Most of the deer I saw looked healthy, except for one buck that I did lay eyes on that has me a little bit concerned. I talked about this before the show. I did see 4 bucks, that had antlers on them. The first 2 I seen was a 2.5-year-old 8-point, and I seen him come into the field and feed, and I watched him for probably a good half hour, and he looked fairly healthy. It looked like he was checking, maybe checking a scrape or making a scrape. Couldn't really tell. He was over 200 yards away from me, and I'm watching with my binoculars, looking through some trees trying to see him. And it took me a while to really pick up how many points he had, and then what age class he was.
Okay,
it took a lot of work to see that where he finally had an opening. But I watched him. He left the food plot, came back onto it about 10-15 minutes later. And I'm watching him for another 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden he lifted his head up and looked straight ahead, and I'm like, what's going on? I look over to my right. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're looking at. Here comes another deer onto the field. Bigger bodied deer, darker.
Here he comes. This is him.
And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the big guy that's going to challenge him. And you could see him. He kind of come in pronounced, but he had his head down. I could see bone on his head, but couldn't really tell what he had. But had a big, thick neck, couldn't really see his body yet because the grass was kind of tall. And once he got into where the food plot portion was, I could see he had a good, thick neck. He had a little bit of a protruding belly. I said, okay, he's at least 3.5-year-old buck. But his antlers, he's only a 6-point. He turned and looked straight my way. I mean, I could see plain as day. He was a 6-point. I could see both sides when he turned, and he looked like a 4-point. And then when he turned, I could see the brow tines.
Okay,
so he's he's a 6-point. But I mean,
he's a big-bodied 6-point.
His antlers, the base, were no bigger than my thumb.
He's almost got like a Texas rack, a thin, the thin.
Yeah,
big down in Texas. They're big, but they're more of a thin,
spindly. I call them spindly looking,
as opposed to like the one Lincoln Roan got in Saskatchewan that was a 300-pound with nice tines. So it was a spindly guy.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, so what's going on with this guy? Why is this younger buck? His rack looks so much more pronounced. Number one, I mean, yeah, okay, so he had 2 more points. That's whatever. But the bases, the main beams on that 8-point was twice as big as the one on the 6-point. And I'm like, what's going on here?
And from what you could tell, the age class was a year.
Yeah, he's
bigger.
Different. Yeah, at least a year. He was a lot bigger bodied buck. And like I said, his belly had some sag to it. I mean, he was an older buck, and he wasn't starving. But why didn't he have the antlers? Was the nutrition not getting to the antlers? Because first thing is their health.
Yeah,
and everything extra goes into their antlers after that.
Did you looking at that deer? Besides the pot belly, did the face look old? Do you think could it be an older deer than what you think?
Could have been. Yeah, I thought about that. He might be regressing.
I was just about to say. You think maybe he's past his prime, and now he's.
Could have been. Like I said, they were over 200 yards away.
Right.
Tall grass. I'm looking through some trees. There was a tree line between me and them. I'm looking from where I'm at in one field, looking across into another one. And it was just a little tough to see. That thought did enter my mind. He was a darker body, deep, dark grayish.
Almost sounds like the way you're describing. I'm just wondering maybe if you could see the face, if you have that gray to the face, it just almost says, I'm actually older than what you think, and I'm actually going backwards here. Yeah,
but he didn't have the sway to the back. His back wasn't sagging. That's the one thing the one characteristic I didn't see to say, he's 4.5, 5.5, 6.5-year-old buck.
Right,
but. It's just it was a little concerning, but he was still dominant because the 8-point come up to him, walked around him, circled him, sized him up, and all of a sudden he just kind of looked at it and then took off. And when he started moving away, that 6-point stuck his head down to the ground and ran him off the field.
Really?
Yeah. So he still had it.
He still had it.
Yeah.
He might be old, but he still got it.
Right.
So that 8-point didn't have nothing to do with him.
Mm-mm. He sized him up, but then he took off.
Really?
Yeah. It was cool to watch.
At that point, you wonder what's going through their minds.
Yeah.
You can play in your head what they're saying to each other.
Well, it's like the teenage kid that comes out to a street fight or, going to rob a guy in a parking lot and tries to size him up, and then the old man pulls out something and knocks him over the head.
Right, exactly.
Puts him on his rear end.
And here's this a young 8-point. Hey, I'm gonna. It's time. It looks at him. Well, hold on. Wait a second. Maybe not so much.
Right.
Maybe up close and personal here. A little different story.
Right.
That's awesome. That's the fun parts of hunting. You go and
crazy things you see.
Crazy things you see. Dave saw coyotes, bobcats.
Yeah.
You've seen this interactions between bucks.
Yeah.
How's the interactions with the does? See anything?
Nothing chasing.
Speaking of that, is Sox still around?
Yes, they did see. Dave actually saw Sox.
Oh, Dave did see Sox.
Yeah, he was walking out a different way to access one of my stands, and he was over. He walked along this one field edge and down a little 2-track, and actually seen her standing off at a distance in the field. And the first thing I said, because he texted me when he got to stand, he says, "Hey, I seen Sox on my way in tonight," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Does she have any fawns with her? This year's fawn drop?" And he's like, "No." So don't know what that's all about. Don't know whether she had them and lost them. I don't know if she didn't get bred, or maybe nobody wants to touch her because she's a piebald. I don't know.
We figure she's about how old now?
Yeah, she's 2.5 right now. This year, she was born 2 Mays ago.
Okay,
so it's 2.5 now.
So basically, she's in her prime.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so hope the coyotes didn't put a dent in her kids.
Yeah, that's one thought. I did talk with David Boggs, and he said albinos, the ones you have to worry about being sterile, a true albino, and she's not. So she ought to be able to breed.
Did you see her with the fawns last year?
No. Nope.
Okay,
so we're waiting to see.
Well, they might. Well, being October though, they might have been around. Mm-hmm. They're just not as tentative as close knit in the summertime.
Yeah, our camp manager did see her around a couple times, and she had nothing with her.
Okay, so hopefully
we're still waiting.
Yep. Now, is she the only piebald out there?
I've seen one that I think's her sister.
Okay.
Same characteristics, but nowhere near as pronounced.
Okay.
So yeah, we're thinking might be a few around. So we'll see.
I keep seeing pictures of the ones that are like really.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, almost like a painted horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's definitely the mount on that and the skin on that would be awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's step outside, take our next break, and we'll come back and we'll keep playing what's going on through the week. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet. I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
All right, back to the last segment of the show.
Checking our live feed here, Andy says they are CWD free.
Good. Hey, Tom.
And Tom Beppler says, how you guys doing?
I wish I had a freezer full, but I don't.
No, you don't have a freezer full. What's up with that?
Well, we're going to hopefully take care of that here in another 10 days.
Right, exactly.
When we get up.
You know what? That's one of the things. You just go spend a week up there, and you take the weather what it is. You take the temperatures the way it is. You take everything given to you for that. The same thing when I go up north for the week. It's
you never know what you're going to be dealing with.
The only thing we played was the moon being dark.
Yeah.
And everything in between from what the weather was going to be like was okay.
Yeah. It's just a really strange week. You know, like I said, the whole 3 or 4 months leading into season, actually since we started planting in May, everything's just been, it just hasn't felt completely right.
Good.
You know?
Because we're going to be here in a couple of weeks talking about a buck you got because it all came together.
I hope so.
Prediction.
I hope so.
Don't write that down.
Thanks. But, you know, I got to spend time with my pops. I haven't seen him in a year. So, I mean, it'd been a year to the week since I'd seen him last.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's good. I got to spend a lot of quality time with him, you know. And even the days that it rained and we didn't get out, you know, I got to spend time at camp talking with him, you know. So it was good camaraderie, catching up on stuff. Got to watch the World Series. Big shout out to one of our fans down in Houston, Paul Locke.
Yep.
Astros won the World Series, so I got to watch the World Series, the last 2 games of that. So, you know, watch some football this weekend, and it all seems to work out.
It does.
You know
whether you take away a hunting an experience or a family experience or just something in general that I'll walk away with a memory.
Got to see another bald eagle this week.
Did you?
Yeah. So he was up there cruising around, screeching his head off and doing his thing, and
you gotta like that.
Yeah, you know, it was peaceful.
Oh, yeah.
It was relaxing, and, you know, I got to spend time in nature. My dad and I, we were walking back. I think it was the first evening hunt, maybe second evening hunt. And, you know, I went over to where he was hanging out, picked him up, and was walking back, and, you know, the moon was out. I think that's when I noticed there was just shadow.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I told him, I said, you know, we get up here, we rush up, our lives are hectic. We're fortunate enough to be able to be here. I said, I think about all the people back downstate, you know, here in this area that work their tails off all year long and either A, can't get out because they don't have means to get out in the woods and enjoy it in nature, whatever enjoy it means to them, or B, they just don't simply care and don't do it. I said, you know, here we are, you know, able to hang out together, you know, for a week out of the year in the woods, walking, you know, it's full moon, you get to smell the leaves.
It depends on the person.
You're in nature, you know. I said,
did he agree?
Yeah, he says, yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. He said, I never really thought about it like that. I said, well, you know, we're fortunate every time we get to come out into nature.
And I think...
And that's kind of how I played the rest of the week.
Going back to your parents and you're bringing up, it's kind of, you can see it. You know, my dad was, you go up north deer hunting. So, yeah, that's the way it was. Some other people aren't as fortunate to get to enjoy the outdoors like that. To them, a vacation somewhere else might be better. Is their thing. That's their thing, right?
Right.
But, yeah, where else can you go and sit out there? And David Boggs got to see all that he saw.
Right.
You know, those are memories. You had memories. That memory walking back with your dad on a moonlit night.
Yeah.
You know, that's when my dad was alive, and I shot that 6-point right by the calf, and I just dragged him close enough to go get my dad, and I'll remember that forever.
Right.
You know,
making memories, man.
And that's what a lot of this is all about. You know, we talk about what we did and what we do and what we don't do, but bottom line, 5-10 years from now, it'll all be memories. And that's good. And here we are. We're 10 days away. Opening day. 10 days away, making more memories. I'll be leaving Saturday, heading up, getting in some crossbowing and doing a little bit of rifle. And from what I'm getting, some of the other cousins will be showing up as the week progresses. So it'll be a good time.
Family meeting at the cabin.
That's exactly what it is, and it's cousins and their sons are going to be coming up. So it's the couple generations.
Yep.
All of our parents have passed, so now it's us, and I had my daughter up earlier Now there's going to be a couple more coming up, other little younger cousins. So
the legacy's being passed on.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's kind of the way I've looked at it. You know, my dad's, I posted a picture of me and him up at camp this week. He's the one that instilled the passion in the outdoors for me, you know, bringing me up as a kid and getting me in the woods when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, you know. And sorry about my dog barking, guys.
We're just adding real life.
That's right. Somebody's just coming in the house here, I think.
But. Right. Yeah, you know, and Andy says it right. Can't get any better. People literally just do not know what they're missing.
Yeah, you know, even if I don't see deer, you know, I sit and I marvel just watching the leaves fall. Or the night I didn't see any deer, I'm sitting in my stand and I'm just kind of, you know, in the moment, and I'm just hanging out there, not moving, just, you know, slowly moving my head back and forth. And this stinking little chickadee, you know, comes, you know, they come fluttering in like at 150 miles an hour, and he went right past my face, you know, and it scared the devil out of me. You know?
Right.
And you just kind of flinch, and your eyes get big, and he landed on a branch, like literally right there. And I'm just, I kind of like turned my eye and like, hey, dude, what's happening?
You know, that's one of the things, especially whether it be in a blind or in a tree, you're sitting there. Like I had the couple deer stick their head in the blind. You could hear them breathing.
Yeah.
Or you get the chickadee to land on the edge or the edge of your tree or whatever it might be, and they're looking at you trying to go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're out there with them.
Oh, I did. I did have a close encounter with a skunk while I was up there. I forgot to tell you about that.
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah, and I shot some video of another one. I saw 3 in one night, but the first one I saw, the first time I seen one, it might have been the first night I was in the stand, and my tree stands off the edge about 30 yards from a box blind that sits off the edge of the food plot. And I seen something like coming out from underneath it because it sits up off the ground just about, 6 inches on blocks.
Yeah.
This skunk comes waddling out, and he comes right around in front of me. I'm like, man, I could smoke you right now and just drill an arrow through you. I said, problem is, I'm downwind.
Well, you're downwind. You're going to have to get the arrow back.
Right, so, but no, every skunk I saw got a pass.
How often do you see skunks?
Actually, in the last couple of years, we're seeing more and more of them. It's not an uncommon thing now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. And part of me says, yeah, we do need to keep them in check because skunks eat turkey eggs.
Well, that and obviously making a nest under your blind is not going to be a helpful thing.
Well, I'll put somebody else in that blind this year.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, which leads me to another question, because you're seeing skunks. That means it's not cold.
No, it was 45-ish most of the time. 45.
You think the bears are denned up?
Didn't see any signs.
Doesn't
mean that they're not still out prowling every now and then. I didn't see any on trail camera either.
Really?
So, yeah.
That surprises me. I know...
and I got a camera in one spot where I should be seeing them.
I know just west of you in Lewiston, a couple weeks back, they had a fresh dug bear den.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, put a camera up there, because that'd be kind of cool.
Right.
But then I was thinking, yeah, it's still not cold enough for them to be denning up totally.
Right.
They might be getting ready, but...
Yeah, taking longer naps.
Right, but now that you mentioned that, I was wondering, maybe the bear activity kind of got your deer spooked a little bit.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen anything on trail camera recently.
But you're not seeing it on camera, so that kind of...
Yeah, I just think it's the weather. I think that was the big issue this week up there, was the weather was kind of screwy, so...
And it plays a lot.
It is what it is. But no, all in all, it was a great week. I got to hang out with David Boggs. I got to hang out with one of our members up there, Dave, and help him a little bit. We worked through the safety harness issues because he got one this year. I got to hang out with my buddy AJ. He come up and hunted up there with us, and my dad. Nothing against the other guys, but I mean, I really cherished the time with my dad.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
It was hard to see him pack up and leave this morning heading back home. So
especially when you're so far apart, right?
I got to make a trip down south. So
there you go. Andy says that he had a bird land on his arrow and sit there for a minute. Never knew he was there. That's not moving at all.
That's being stone cold.
That is stone cold. But yeah, no, I totally agree. And they get a longer hunting season down there, don't they?
Yeah, 3.5 months.
Really?
If we talked about that, I'm less like, how can you hunt for 3.5 months and not kill all your deer? But they do it, yeah. Their season opens the 18th of November, their firearm season.
Okay.
On private land, and runs through the end of February.
End of February?
Yeah, end of February. Yeah. Now, in the deer management units in the state and in the federal lands, those are managed a lot tighter.
Okay.
But, yeah, they've got a long season. Yeah.
So your dad's property, he can hunt till end of February?
Yeah, any private land. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I said, get your box blinds ready. I said, who knows? Maybe after ATA this year, if I get a hankering, I might just show up for a weekend and come down and sit with you. You know?
There you go.
Just to go down and see them,
Yeah.
Not necessarily to hunt. I mean,
well, you can, if you're in a box blind, you can sit and hunt and talk.
Right. Yeah. Well, take a video camera down, maybe see him shoot one. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I was actually going to get him on the show, and he halfway agreed to it, but
not quite all the way there.
He slid out of town on me. I did take my voice recorder up, and we were going to sit down and possibly do a little chat, and it never occurred. It's one of them things that you're at camp, and all of a sudden your mind goes 90 different miles, in different directions, and before you know it, everybody's going to bed, and you're like, we'll do it tomorrow. And
the same thing happens, and if something happens, or
good intentions always,
totally know that.
So, but it is what it is.
So, but all in all, overall, another good year, week of bow hunting for you.
It'd been nice if I could have drew back on one.
Well, absolutely.
But, it'd been nice if I'd have had the opportunity to draw back on one. But I only had 2 deer that were within range. One was a button buck and one was a yearling doe. And even they were in thick cover. It would have been a next to impossible shot to make. But they were within bow range.
Right, bow range to shoot.
I mean, literally, I was like, the button buck was over the edge of my stand. He was like 5 feet from my tree, and I could have spit on him, He's like, hey, dude, what are you doing down there?
Why didn't you jump on his back?
Yeah, didn't want to.
Okay.
Didn't want to ride him out of the
Didn't want no
field.
deer wrestling?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, no, but next week, though.
I'm ready, man. Next week, you're going to be up north. We've already talked about this. I think I'm going to call you in on Skype.
I'll call in from the UP and tell you how it's going up there.
Do you have Skype on your phone?
On my phone?
The Skype app? I was just wondering if I could put you in the monitor. Probably don't have good enough service for that up there, do you?
I'm probably not. I got to make sure I got the tinfoil hat on, and I got to turn to the southwest.
Hold one leg up?
Pretty much.
Hold the opposite arm up?
Pretty much.
Okay.
But if I can get it, I'll try it and see what...
may put you in the monitor.
We might try it and see if I can get enough signal out of the booster to see if that works.
All right, yeah. And if we can get him on here, even if he's just on a call, I'll still do the live stream. Maybe you guys that are out there listening right now, get some questions ready for him.
Get some questions for me because
we'll fire a bunch at him.
I'll be in the UP,
so
either from the cabin or by a road.
All right. Well, anything else for us this week?
You know what? Just get out there and hit them hard. It's that time of year for most of everybody around here, whether you're still bow hunting, crossbow hunting, or gun season.
Well, Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm headed to the rifle range, take a couple shots downrange. Everything should still be on from this summer, but I'm still going to get out and fire a few rounds.
There you go.
So, all right, folks, that'll do it for us this week. And as we always say here at the Up North Journal, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Vapor Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plot Seeds, Attractants, and Supplements,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.